Question number 19. When using the method of completing the square, which equation is equivalent to x squared minus 12x minus 10 equals 0? Now, I am planning to show you how to do completing the squares on a trinomial like this, but it's kind of hard. So instead, why don't we use the tools at hand, like the calculator, and go ahead and graph every one of the answer choices to see which one matches the equation in the question. The only thing we have to watch out for is that the answer choices are not set equal to 0, so all we have to do is set them equal to 0 by adding 26, in this case, to both sides, subtracting 46 to both sides on answer choice number 2, and so on for the other ones. Then we can graph them because they would all be equal to 0, just like the equation in the question. So the question equation is going to be x squared minus 12x minus 10. So we are using the calculator to help us see which answer choice matches the equation in the question, and that will be the right one. So for answer choice number 1, we have x plus 6 squared plus 26. I had to add that so it would be set equal to 0. That's all we have to do differently. Let's keep going. X plus 6 squared minus 46. So that'll be set equal to 0 also. That'll look like a black one on the graph when we graph it. See if that one matches. X minus 6 squared again, plus 26 in this case. And the last one, answer choice 4, is x minus 6 squared minus 46 for answer choice number 4. Let's go ahead and hit graph and see which one of these matches the blue one. So this is what comes up when you hit graph on Zoom standard, because that was our last setting on the Zoom. That does not look good. So instead, a lot of times you can fix that by hitting Zoom and choosing Zoom Fit, option 0 at the bottom there. So that looks a lot better. I can notice that my blue graph is not visible. That means it's covered by one of these. Let's find out which one. So to do that, we're just going to turn off some of the other ones, and then we'll go back to the graph so I could see the blue one arcs just below the origin right down there, and then curves back upwards towards the right of the screen. Let's see if we can identify which one of the colored ones goes over that. Hit graph again. So you could clearly see that the green one is an exact match to the blue one. And that green one was answer choice number 4, x minus 6 squared equals 46. So answer choice number 4 is correct for this one. Okay, now you want to be a good student and do it the right way where you show your work, especially in case you get a question like this at the end of the test where it's not multiple choice. Let's do that now. So x squared minus 12x's minus 10 still equals 0. That's the original one. We're going to complete the square in order to answer this. So to complete the square, what that means is that we're trying to factor this down into two binomials in parentheses as usual in such a way where those two factors are actually the same thing. That would be a perfect square because, for example, let's imagine that this trinomial that we have in front of us that I just wrote here, let's imagine that that was just a number. Let's say it's just a number like 16. So let's say this whole thing is analogous to 16. If I wanted to factor 16 down, I could do 2 times 8 in parentheses like that. That would not be a perfect square representation of 16. Instead, if I did 4 times 4, where both of the factors are identical, then I could write it down as 4 squared, showing that the trinomial, which in our case I'm just calling 16, was a perfect square, and that's why the answer choices look like a factor in parentheses squared, just like the 4 squared is over here. So in order to do that, sometimes we have to manufacture the perfect square aspect of the trinomial at the top, and we do that using a specific procedure. That procedure goes as follows. You take the b term, remember a x squared plus b x plus c is the standard form equation for any quadratic. So the a corresponds to the 1 in front of the x squared, the b corresponds to the negative 12 in front of the x, and the c corresponds to the negative 10. To complete the squares, you take the b term, cut it in half, square it, and add it to both sides. So let's go ahead and do that with the negative 12. So negative 12 goes in here and here. You can use your calculator if you like, but negative 12 cut in half is negative 6. 6 squared is 36. So I'm trying to add a 36 to both sides. I need to add 36 to both sides. Let's make some room. Typically, we do this when we're completing the squares. Our first step is actually to add the C value or just move it over. So in this case, we're going to add 10 to both sides. Just get it out of the way so that we can have some room to the right of the B term so that we can plug in our newly discovered C value that would make everything to the left of the equal sign a perfect square. So in our case, we saw that to be 36. So I'm going to add 36 over here. Whatever I do to one side, I need to do to the other side as well. So I need to add 36 there too. You can already see where the 46 in the correct answer choice is coming from because 10 plus 36 is 46. At this point, just to confirm we're doing it correctly, let's go ahead and factor this down. So factors of x squared is x and x. Put minus signs in between as placeholders. I can change it to a plus sign later. Factors of 36 that are perfect would be 6 and 6 to make 36 a perfect square, which it is. You can always know that what goes in that position is the b over 2. That b over 2 that we had earlier is what always goes here and here, in case you're unsure about that. Now, I want those 6's to multiply to a positive 36 in red, so we're going to leave them both negative, because negative 6 times negative 6 actually is positive 36, and having those negative 6's there would add up to the negative 12x's in the middle in that b position there. So that confirms we have the trinomial factored down as a perfect square, even though it's manufactured because we still have the 46 on the right side of the equal sign. The left side of the equal sign is a perfect square, and now I can write it like this: x minus 6 one time squared, which means times itself, so I don't have to write it twice, equals the 46 we saw in the correct answer choice 4.